If you want to see how I get from this to this, then you're in the right place. The very first thing I do when building an aquascape is actually do a template of the tank. And there's 2 or 3 things that I do. Number one, I draw lines of where I want the rockscape to go. So that's where the glass is. And I want to keep a gap all the way around. So for cleaning. And also I want it to have a clean look around where the sand is. And also you'll see online there's a few videos around the height of your scape and keeping it kind of 50% or 2/3, because if your rockscape is up here, you haven't then got much height for your corals to grow. So I'm going to put this at 50%, and then there's loads of room for those corals to reach up and grow. And also the higher it is, it can block out the light of corals down to your left or to your right. And then last but not least, if I'm building the rockscape in the tank, there's a good chance I'm putting the rock in and out of actually scratching or cracking the glass. So by doing it this way, you can see from all the angles, but also keep your tank safe, I suppose. And last but not least, especially on a nano, you can put this on a piece of wood, move it around, do a bit of scaping, and then leave it and then come back to it in a couple of days if you want, because sometimes it can get really frustrating. So I've done this for the last 2 or 3 tanks, and I would say it really helped me to get a scape that I'm really happy with. Okay, so I've got a few pieces of kit I use to aquascape, and I used it on the last couple of tanks. So Ecotech glue. I know people use Gorilla Glue and other things like that. I've always used that because it lasts a long time. Keep it in the fridge. That will last you 6-12 months, and you haven't got to worry about throwing it away. You haven't got to worry about that blocking up, as long as you're careful and you wipe it on each occasion. DD aquascape putty. Again, I use that. It's 2-part. So you can see here, I've got 2 parts here, and what I'll do, I'll break it into lumps. Mix it up, and it will take roughly about ½ hour before you can really set it and use it. And then I use this Nile cement here, and it just looks just like cement. Now what you find with this sets really quickly, probably in about 30 seconds. So all you do is mix it with some water in a little container, and I try and make it as wet as possible, and then apply it to the rockscape, and then go from there. So it sets really quick, which is really good if you're doing overhangs and other stuff like that and you really want things to set quickly. So what I'm just going to do now, before anything, is just mix this up. So just really simple, is just chewing off bits that have similar size. So all you do, mix that together. You can see, look, after 5 seconds, nowhere near it. So you just need to keep going, and also by putting it into smaller bits, it's easier. So it's quite flaky. So it's usually 30 minutes from the last piece I've done. So I'm using about a 2/3 of a tube here. I'm using the grey one because the rock I'm using is white. Okay, so this is my base layer of rock, and the key to this, I think, is having flat pieces on the bottom. So you have a look, that is flat. There's nothing really pointed about it, and that's deliberate because then you don't take the pressure off the glass. Okay, so I've put some cement in there, and what you want to do is make it too thick or too thin, which is quite difficult to do. If you make it too thin, you're going to have to add some more into it. So just put a bit of water in there, and then really it's a race against the clock to get it done. Probably not enough water in there, as you can see. So I've just got to add just a little bit more, not a lot. Already that is setting. That's why I say it's always a race against time. Yeah, it's got a little bit there, a little bit sloppy, but that'll be alright. That'll, you see it under the camera. Right, I'm just going to move that water out of the way. I'm just going to peel that forward, because what I'm looking to do is put some around there and around there. And then once it's on there, I can then build around it. And then once it's all done, I'll probably turn it upside down and do the same there as well. Okay, so that's that done. First bit done. Let's see. Position that on there. And then what I need to do is just push it in to where it needs to go to get as much contact as possible. So I'm now done at this stage. What I've got is a lovely base there. I'm going to flip it over, and then once I've flipped it over, we're going to put the rest of the pieces in place. So let's see if this works. So far, so good. There we go. That's the bottom, what that looks like. So what we can see there, lots of glue around the area. See the glue there? There's the piece I've done earlier. And just put that in place like that. Right, let's carry on, I'll come back in a minute. So the base now is all complete, so I'm happy with that. I need to fill in some gaps there, a couple of loose pieces there. But what I've done over this side is, it was too low in the tank, so I decided to cut this piece in half, and that's a base there, and that's there. And that just raises the base off of the sand bed. Otherwise what you find is your base is then covered in sand, and then doesn't look as good. So that's where we are at the moment. I'm just going to fill this in, and then this is the top piece, and I'm really happy with this quite unique piece. Looks like it's an old coral, so that's going to fit on top. So that's all done. You can see I've filled in the hole there. They're all loose, doesn't need to be glued in at all. And then you can see some cement there. I'll cover that over a little bit later on. So now I need to get the rest of it done and get it back in the tank. The final part, just going to put some cement there, and also a little bit there, and just to keep these rocks in shape, because that's loose. And then it will just sit on top and hopefully cement together. Oh, that's all secure there. That's going to be hidden behind the glass at the back towards the weir. That's now secure in place. It's all ready to go into the tank. I just got to tidy up pieces like this. I'm undecided whether I'm just going to leave as it is or put something else around it. Overall, I'm really pleased with how the rockscape looks. It's taken me about 3 weeks though, but I've taken my time and I've built it stage by stage, step by step, and then left it and then gone back and review it, and I think it looks really good. It is a more traditional peninsula look, and I've ensured there's plenty of room around each side so that I can maintain and clean the tank. And more importantly, there's lots of holes, caves and hiding places for the fish to hide whenever threatened, as in my opinion that is one of the keys to long-term success in keeping fish. They need to feel safe. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.